Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Abid Khan from Mukta Networks. Is the audio clear? Is it good for everybody? Okay, good. Thank you. So let's continue with our BGP sessions. So the topic what we are going to do is basically before I tell the name of the topic, let us first discuss what happens. So if you see now like AS200 or maybe AS2, it's a big ISP. It's a huge ISP. Suppose it's a big service provider, and it is pairing with many other AS also around. And now inside this AS200, what we have, maybe hundreds of or maybe thousands of routers. So like I'm showing you here now, R1 in the diagram I'm showing R1 is pairing with R2, R1 is pairing with R5, R1 is pairing with R7 like that. Okay, there is like basically there is IBGP here, there is IBGP here, there is IBGP here. This is EBGP, there could be IBGP. So R1 is pairing with R2, R5, R7. I'm just showing maybe three routers here, but please understand that let's say you have maybe R1 is having 100 IBGP neighbors. So if you have 100 IBGP neighbors, so if you are doing peering, if you are doing neighborship configuration on R1, normally what will happen? What will be your normal commands? So if you see the diagram now, normally R1 is pairing with, as I said, hundreds of neighbors. I'm showing you like R2, R3, R4 like that. Right now I'm just showing maybe three neighbors, two neighbors, or maybe seven neighbors, something. But please understand, consider there are maybe 100 neighbors for R1. So how we normally configure on R1? You'll go to R1, you'll say neighbor R2, whatever the IP address of R2, you'll say remote AS200 IBGP. You're doing IBGP. Then since it is IBGP, this IP address of your neighbor will be what? It will be look back logical neighborship. So since you're doing logical neighborship, you do what? Update source command, right? Like that. Then if you see R1 is having some eBGP neighbors, so if it is receiving eBGP route and it is forwarding all these eBGP routes to its IBGP neighbors, what will happen for the IBGP neighbors? The route will not be best because the next stop will not be will not be known to them. So that's the reason for one every neighbor what I have to do, next stop self command. And then if you also know that now I already explained that what split horizon. So if R2 sends the route to R1, R1 won't give the routes with to all other neighbors, right? Same thing applies for every neighbor. So nobody will have access to each other. If I want everybody should be able to communicate, all the neighbors should get all the routes, all the neighbors should have reachability to each other customers. Then what we do? Route reflector client. Plus if you see now, so if you see for every neighbor, right now if you see we have four commands. For every neighbor we have basically what? Four commands. And minimum basically. Right now this is just minimum to solve the problems of exchanging routes. Then there could be what routing policies configuration also, like maybe if you see AS100, suppose from AS100 the router is sending some route and he's sending what some community is telling, okay, I'm giving you route, no export, okay, you can share with your neighbors, and see that your neighbors they don't forward the route to their eBGP neighbors. So what R1 has to do, for every neighbor, now for every IBGP neighbor we have to put what, send community command. There could be a policy also. I can do some route map also on R1. Per neighbor, I already explained on per neighbor how many route maps can be applied. Two route maps can be applied, one in, one in out. So as your policy, as your requirement goes up, more and more neighbor statements will be required for each neighbor. So just think now, suppose one neighbor, for one neighbor there are let's say 7 neighbor statement you have to configure, like that. And like that, how many neighbors you have? Maybe 100 neighbors IBGP neighbor R1 has. So what will be the size of the BGP configuration? Huge. If you do show run, what will happen? You have to scroll down maybe 700 lines configuration, or maybe 1000 lines configuration. If there are 10 statement per neighbor, 10 neighbor segments according to the requirement. There could be a route map out, there could be a route map in, send community command you are doing, like that. Maybe you're doing authentication, so password command, like that. As I said, if your requirement, one, if you keep on increasing your requirement, number of neighbor segments will keep on increasing. On some router, maybe some out of these 100 routers, let's say the administrator forget to put manually. If you are doing, there is a possibility, but that for some neighbor you might forget next of cell, for some neighbor you might forget route reflector client, for some neighbor you forget to apply the routing policy, maybe route map in or route map outbound policy or inbound policy. Maybe some neighbor you're configuring the password, maybe password might be the administrator might type the password what wrong. So if 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 some administrator is doing this configuration manually, what will happen? There will be what, more administrative effort. It will take a lot of time to do the configuration manually. Plus second thing is what, more administrative mistakes also, chances of administrator doing mistake. As I said, typing password might be wrong, maybe forgetting a particular command for maybe one neighbor or two neighbors out of 100. So these are always possibilities. We always sometimes do what, mistakes. So less administrative, if you are doing some if work, and if that work requires less administrative effort, there are less chances of administrative mistakes also at the same time, and your job is getting done faster. You have like that. So routing policies, maybe there could be some requirement that okay, R1 has 100 customers, 100 neighbors, IBGP neighbors. Maybe you want to implement two different policies. From 50 neighbors, you want a different policy to be applied, and for 50 neighbors, you want a different policy to be applied. Like maybe I want to do authentication only with maybe 50 neighbors. I don't want to do authentication with the other 50. So what is happening? I'm creating basically what, a two kind of groups, neighbor groups or update groups. You want to send traffic, you want to send routes. Again, there could be what, not necessarily there will be always one single policy. Out of 100, you will say maybe okay, 75 neighbors I want to send only send community, that attribute. Remaining 25 neighbors I don't want to send them send community, so now manually if you're doing this, yes, you can do manually, like that. But then what will happen again? But ultimately you're creating what, two groups of neighbors. For one group of neighbor, updates will be sent with what, maybe the community attribute. And for the second group of 25 neighbors, the routes will be sent without the community attribute. So according to the requirement, the things will, your configuration will keep on increasing. And if you are doing manually, it will take more time. And the router, since you're doing this manually, like if I create 75 group, I have 75 group of same common policy, and if I'm doing like this normally, then what will happen? For every neighbor, my router has to create what? A separate kind of update for every neighbor. In that in that update, it has to include what? The routes having that specific policy. So this all basically ultimately leads to what? Higher memory and CPU utilization of the router. So this will ultimately degrade the performance of the router, BGP router. So to improve the performance of the BGP router, to improve the efficiency of the router, less memory, less CPU requirement you need to have. We have a concept which is called as what? Peer group. So peer group basically is the configuration without the topic basically is what? Peer group. So before I explain peer group, I gave you a background that if there is no peer group concept, you know how administrator would have done the configuration normally. And if you're doing normally, lot of time, lot of administrative efforts, lot of administrative mistakes, plus more memory, CPU requirements. So you can have like that lot of effort will be required. Plus, while processing the updates for different types of neighbors, maybe you don't have a one common policy for all the neighbors. Maybe you have to do two different types of policies or three different types of policies for your neighbor. For some neighbors you want to, as I said, some neighbors you want to send the route with the community attribute. For some neighbors you don't want to send the route with them, so you can't club them all together. So the router internally, BGP internally has to create what? Different types of updates for different groups of neighbors. All this requires what? More effort. So we have a concept which is called as what? BGP peer group. It's an optional feature of configuring BGP. Like so far, whatever I have shown you, we are doing what? As I said, normal BGP, and as I told you earlier, that what happens? There are different ways of configuring BGP. So this is an optional feature which administrators, if they use, it can lead to what? Improved performance of the router, and that's the reason this peer group feature is called as what? Performance tuning feature. It you are tuning the performance of a BGP router if you implement peer group. It is what? Scalable. Just imagine right now, let's say R1 has 100 neighbors. Now tomorrow if you add more more 10 neighbors, so if we are adding more 10 neighbors again, if no peer group is there, normal if I'm doing, I have to do again maybe if for each neighbor 7 statements. So again 70 lines I need to type, like that. Over here, see, I've just written R2, R3. Please understand, it's not R2. It's basically IP address you need to put. I'm not, specifying the IP address. I don't want to waste time in specifying the IP address for each neighbor here in the example what I'm showing you on the screen. But sometimes what happens, many students think that I am basically, we can specify the host name of the router. No, neighbor and then it is IP address of the router. Mm. Okay, so just again example, 100 routers per neighbor, 7 statements. Let us take only 7 statements. You want to do, you have 100 neighbors, IBGP neighbors. For each IBGP neighbor, you require 7 statements. How many total number of statements will be required? 700 if I do normally. Okay, And now if I want to do using peer group, how many statements will be required? First, one neighbor statement to create the peer group. One neighbor statement to create the peer group. Then seven neighbor statement to apply the the common configuration, like here remote AS, update source, next of self, route reflector client, send community, route map in, route map out. So your policies, whatever your policy requirement is there, you type seven commands. So altogether, how many commands now? One command for defining, creating the peer group. Then on the peer group, you assign the common properties, the common configuration which you want to apply for your neighbors. So altogether, eight statements. And then how many neighbors you have? 100 neighbors. So I can say, okay, again, neighbor R2, IP address. I say, hey, a neighbor, hey, R3, R1, neighbor R2, means whatever the IP address of R1, I'll say, peer group, name of the peer group. So like that, 100 statements if you have 100 neighbors. So altogether, without peer group and normal, traditionally, if I do BGP, 700 statement. Now with peer group, the configuration reduces to what? Maybe 100, no, 100 neighbor, 100 statement plus 8 statement, 108 statements. So it's a big saving. Like that. It's a big saving for each neighbor. You apply this thing. Peer group is locally significant. If I configure the peer group on R1, it is locally significant on R1. I am basically doing this configuration for the benefit of router 1 also. All the other routers, they don't know that some peer group has been created on R1. They don't know also. For the neighbors, R1 is like their normal IBGP neighbor. Can we create multiple peer groups? Yes, we can create multiple peer groups. As I said, maybe out of 100 neighbors, as I said, you have two different type of policies. For 75 neighbors, you want a different policy, and for 25, you have a different policy. So you can't put all the 100 neighbors in single, okay, in single, basically single peer group. So you create two peer groups, and then in one peer group you define the 75 neighbors, and in the other peer group you define the remaining 25 neighbors. Hmm. So let me show you the configuration now with peer group. This is like without normal configuration without peer group, what you see on the screen. And now let me, and now if you see on R1, I'm doing router BGP 200. Then I say neighbor, I create some peer group named XYZ. Name of the peer group is case sensitive. Whatever name you decide, it is case sensitive. I said peer group, neighbor, name of the peer group, and then the command is peer group. Then on this neighbor, this peer group, see I say neighbor XYZ, remote is 200. Neighbor XYZ, update source loopback 0. Neighbor XYZ, next stop cell. So I am applying the common features for every neighbor. So if you see one neighbor statement and maybe like that seven statement for the applying the policy. So 1 plus 7, let's say 8. And then as I said, you have maybe 100 neighbors. So neighbor, you say neighbor 172.16.2.2 peer group XYZ, 172.16.3.3 peer group XYZ, neighbor 172.16.4.4, like that. Clear? So here I'm not typing host name to make it clear that you cannot specify in the neighbor host name. So this is how you do peer groups, a scalable feature. Who has 100 neighbors? R1 has 100 neighbors. What about these neighbor routers? R2, R3. What about these neighbors? Are they neighbor with 100 neighbors? Are they neighbor with 100 routers? If a router is neighbor with 100 routers or 10 neighbors, then you can do peer group on that router also. But If R2 is just neighbor with only one router R1, or maybe two routers R1, so maybe you do or maybe you don't do. Every router peer group, I already said that it is locally significant. The other router does not know. This is only to this on R1 I'm doing so that this common property gets applied to all these guys. All these features now get applicable to all this bunch of neighbors. Hmm. So I'm simplifying my work. I'm improving the performance of my router better. Hmm. So that router, other router you do or you don't do, every router individually you have to think as per the scenario that okay, should I do based on the peering. So before you do the configuration, proper designing planning is done. Not just like you start configuring the router. No, there is always proper preparing who which router is going to pair with whom. All that thing is already designed, planned, maybe on a whiteboard, or maybe on some computer. People sit together on a large ISP. They'll plan, okay, these 100 locations, who is going to pair with whom. All this thing, IBGP pairing is all defined. Now somebody will say, if somebody says that okay, suppose a router has only two neighbors, so can we do peer group for even if we have two neighbors? Yes, because here, see, when you define this peer group and all this configuration, what you see here, nowhere the peer group is telling you. Hold on, my back. So not necessary that when you if you define a peer group, there has to be like 10 neighbors only, minimum 10 neighbors or minimum 100 neighbors, then only you can do peer group. Yes, even for two neighbors also, if you want, you can configure peer group. So in your exam, real exam, they will ask, if they show you a diagram where you see only maybe a couple of neighbors, IBGP neighbors, and if they ask you to do peer group, don't go, and they, what's the use, what benefit I'll get if I have only two. The benefit is what? It is scalable. Today maybe you have only two neighbors. If your network grows, tomorrow you will have what? Maybe 10 more neighbors. That time what will happen? I don't need to do anything. I just need to what? Just add the new neighbor like this. Keep on adding neighbor and just put the IP address of the new neighbor and say okay, you join this group. Whatever. Like 31 dot says 31 peer group like this. Scalable. It is scalable. Tomorrow maybe out of your maybe that group, maybe you don't want the policy to be applied to five neighbors out of maybe let's say 75. You don't want the common policy to be applied to the five neighbors. What you'll do, you'll simply add no to that particular neighbor. Let's say I say no neighbor 172.16.4.4. What will happen? That neighbor will automatically exit the group, and then you can individually for that neighbor you can define whatever new policy you want. So this is the scalability of this peer group concept. If very large, not it's not meant for that there is small organization, people won't do peer group also. In a very large BGP environment, people can take advantage of this peer group concept. Now somebody will say this peer group, okay, even if it is like that, this this does not look scalable. Defining 100 neighbors is not scalable. Plus, if I define these 100 neighbors, Ultimately, all the policy is all common for them. But what happens when you define like this? Okay, this is going to take more time. Still 100 neighbors statement. In typing 100 neighbor statement, maybe possibility again there could be some scope for administrative mistakes, administrative errors. Yes, administrative errors can be there in defining manually. So do I still have an alternative? Do I still have an alternative? A more better, more scalable BGP configuration, and that is called as what? Dynamic neighbor. BGP dynamic neighbor feature. So in the very beginning, this used to be the only option. Then Cisco introduced what? A feature called as what? Dynamic neighbor. Like that. It further simplified the BGP configuration for administrators. It becomes so scalable now. Okay, with one single statement, you can add hundreds of neighbors to a peer group. That's the power of this dynamic neighbor. So what I'm showing you is first traditional normal. This is normal BGP configuration, not scalable, more administrative effort, more administrative errors possibilities. Then with peer group, yes, here normal, if I'm doing for 100 neighbors, maybe 700 statements it will take me for to do. If I do this way, it is taking me maybe 108 statements. So compared to 700, this is still better. But now dynamic, this can become maybe only 9 statements. With 9 statements or 10 statements, whatever. With that minimum 9, maximum depends on the IP addressing also. Hmm. What is that feature? Let me just show you. See here, suppose I create on R1 router BGP2, I say neighbor, IBGP group, peer group, remote is to update source, loop back 0, route reflector client, I will apply a policy, maybe Cisco, I implement a password, maybe I can do even send community like that, as your requirement is increasing. Then if this is traditional, you are doing individually, you defining the group neighbor 172.16.3.3.2.2.4.4 like that, blah 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 blah. Instead of doing all this, do I have an alternate? Instead of manually defining individual 100 IBGP neighbors, I can use a command which is called as what? BGP listen. I'm telling BGP listen range. I say any IP address, and I say if you if you get any neighbor IP address, okay, any neighbor. See, the other neighbors are going to send you what? The TCP messages. So when you receive the TCP messages from your neighbors, you add them to what? This group dynamically. So instead of manually defining the peer groups over here like this is manual traditional configuration. In one single range command, you can specify. It's a wildcard. I'm putting wildcard. You can be very specific. If I know that okay, I'm using in my internal IP addressing, I'm using subnet of 172.16.0.0/16. So I can simply say BGP listen range 172.16.0.0/16. So only those IPs which are part of 172.16, BGP will put them member of what? This peer group. Maybe as I said, no, if you have maybe no, you have 100 neighbors, right? As I said, you have 100 neighbors, but you don't want to apply, let's say, common policy for all the 100 neighbors. In the real world, not always you can have one same policy for each and every neighbor. There could be differing requirement. Well, if you have like 75 and 25, two different groups, so how you will differentiate? How you will put them into different? If their IP addressing, if I put wildcard mask like this, even if I create two groups, even if I create two groups, they will all become part of only one peer group. I can't use wildcard mask for 75 and 25 separately. This command you do where? This command normally we do on which router? When you do this router, that router becomes what? Route reflector. So route reflector defining a client basically means what? Ultimately it's a route reflector. That is what I shown you here. By default all R1 is neighbor with all these routers. So what if you receive by default route from R2, R1 will never forward the routes to R3, R4 like that same way. If I want all these neighbors should extend their route, I need to define each and everybody as what client. As I said, maybe I have a requirement. I don't want out of 125 neighbors, I don't want them to communicate with each other. Then I don't put them in the same group. I don't define them as client. See another policy. You define a different peer group for them. According to your requirement, you can create one peer group, two peer group, 10 peer groups. But thing is that one neighbor cannot be part of two peer groups. It will be conflicting. It will be a conflict then. You can't be member of two parties. Either you can be member of one party or you can be member of other. You cannot be member of both the parties if there are two parties. The same way here. If you are defining the neighbor member of one peer group, if I say like this, neighbor R2 peer group XYZ, and after that suppose I say neighbor R R2 172.16.2.2 peer group IBGP, whatever the another name, another peer group name, what will happen? It will overwrite. One neighbor cannot be part of peer group. Why? Because there are two peer groups. Why? Because of differing requirement. So how differing requirement can be applied to one common neighbor? Not possible. So I can either you can be member of one peer group or you can be member of second peer group. So that is what understanding is required. When you are defining the peer group, you must understand what you are doing. You don't just simply go. So even when you are practicing also, first draw the diagram of what for whatever your topology, what you are thinking of doing BGP. Write down your requirements. Okay, I want to do community. Write down your task first. Just many times I've seen students immediately they'll just start the simulator, start the router access, and then they'll connect to the router and then they will start thinking. Then they will think, okay, I will do this, I will do that. No, that's not good. That's not a way of professional way of doing things. First plan, design, then implement. Planning, designing is before implementation. It's not after you start something and then you design. And always create your scenarios first. Then accordingly start thinking. Then accordingly you think. Route reflector client, for that you need to watch my previous video, my friend. Every time I cannot keep on repeating the same topic again. What's the fun of uploading the videos? There are already the BGP videos which have been already uploaded so far already contains my discussion on explanation on route reflector. You need to go through that recording 10 times. It's not practically feasible for us to keep on repeating the same topic again and again. Got it? Please. That, that's the reason recording is shared. You can watch the video again and again if something is not clear. Again, I'm telling, if something is still not clear in your mind, stop. Don't go further. Go back to that topic again and again until it is clear. Once it is clear, then move on. Don't keep things, with confusion in the mind. You should always try to eliminate the conflict, the misunderstanding, the confusion of a particular topic. If some for somebody community is still a nightmare, watch again. Try to read down, try to write down, try to draw the diagram, try to see what is happening, what exactly before you do like that. If for somebody route reflector is maybe not clear, repeat. Hmm? That advertisement comes in, mad angles, repeat. That's the reason. No links. If you miss out a session in between, if you miss some session, you're missing the link. So that cannot be helped. Every day somebody is going to miss the session. So then somebody will say, sir, you yesterday you explained this, please again explain. Yesterday I was not able to attend. Yes, genuine reasons, whatever genuine reasons you have, no problem. Everybody will have some genuine reason to attend or not to attend. So I can't keep on explaining the same things 10 times. No? Plus, if you guys are aware, there is a I'm conducting a session morning 8 o'clock Indian time and evening 8 o'clock Indian time also. And I conduct exactly this. I repeat the same topic exactly for the evening session also. So some of you, if you are not able to attend morning, try to attend in the evening. If evening guys cannot attend in the evening, try to attend in the morning. So somewhere you have to do some compromise. Somewhere you have to take some pain. So peer group. So peer group allows me to what? It's a scalable way of configuring BGP. BGP is so powerful command. One single command you are able to. So we don't define manually, statically each and every neighbor. So this is called as what? Dynamic neighborship. BGP dynamic neighborship. BGP listen group. Listen command. BGP listen. Then you specify the range, and this is very general. This is not also not very good. Basically, you must be very restrictive. What will happen then if any IP address you learn about some neighbor, possibly it will become member of this group. So I'm just showing wildcard mark. More specific should be what? Since you know your internal IP addressing, try to clearly specify your network, or try to clearly specify the range of subnets. Maybe I can say 172.16, maybe 20.0/20. I can specify that okay, all the IP addresses starting from 20.0 and subnet mask /20, if they fall in that range, then they will become member of this peer group. Now, another query can be what? Can we do peer group for IEBGP neighbors? See, peer group is excellent for IBGP neighbors, right? Peer group is excellent for IBGP neighbors. But what about EBGP neighbors? Can you do peer group for EBGP neighbors? Yes, you can do peer group for EBGP neighbors also. Even though their AS number is different, let their AS number be different, no problem. You define them normal neighbors, but common properties, for common properties, you can you can create a peer group and apply the common properties. Maybe you have like this, my topology. If you guys remember my topology, what I have been using. If you see R3 is neighbor with maybe AS60, R10, R6, R8 in three different As. So I make on R3 what normal neighbor. Now what I want to apply for all these three neighbors one common property. I want to send them some community. I want to send them some attribute manipulation route map out. I want to do. I want from these neighbors when they're sending the routes in. Remember yesterday I did what custom community, applying the custom community for all these particular three neighbors. R3 has maybe four eBGP neighbors, but you want to do maybe you want to apply policy for maybe out of four only three neighbors. So you can create a group, input them in that group. Then not necessary that every peer group must have a remote s command. I want to do maybe authentication with two eBGP neighbors. I don't want to do authentication with everybody. Real world people will do or not? Yes, it depends. This command, these features have been created for large scale peering. So people should use this feature in the real world. They are meant to be used. If they are not using, then the administrator maybe is not aware. This all these features have been created for the sole benefit of configuring BGP in a scalable manner. Make the life of a BGP administrator easy. So with practice, you can implement the BGP features. BGP, please understand, is vast. Okay, so everything we cannot teach completely at 100%. I cannot teach BGP because it's not needed. Whatever I'm going as per your CCI enterprise infrastructure, the syllabus, the topics listed by Cisco. So whatever they are listed, I have explained. As I said yesterday, aggregation. There are still more things in aggregation, but Cisco has listed only maybe up to a set only they want to know. Maybe when if somebody goes for CCS service providers, maybe they want the candidate to learn more. So service provider completes the full understanding of BGP. So if maybe in future if I take a service provider lecture, some course something, and if you join over there, maybe whatever remaining topics are there, whatever remaining features are there, I will be explaining those features that time. So BGP peer group feature can be applied for iBGP also. It is more, it is more adaptable. It's more used for iBGP because in iBGP you have very large number of iBGP neighbors compared to eBGP. In eBGP, suppose a router can be neighbor with 5 eBGP neighbors or 10 eBGP neighbors. If one router is peering with 10 eBGP neighbors, naturally in internal there will be maybe 100 neighbors or maybe 50 iBGP neighbors. So it is always like in network we have two different segments, LAN and WAN. LAN is always fast and WAN is always slow. WAN is always less, LAN is huge. The same way iBGP is always huge compared to eBGP maybe. Depends again maybe. Okay, so that's it. Peer group configuration. Just go to the router and just show you the command because now I can do the peer group on R1, R2, R3 if you guys want. It will just show you that. And you see the command BGP listen range, and then I can specify 172.16.0.0. I can say slash only /24 I can specify. So only subnets starting with zeros only, or maybe whatever you want you can specify /16 like that. And then I define name of the peer group, and what is the name of the peer group, let's say XYZ or maybe whatever, like that command. Go inside BGP, do the BGP listen range command, And now anytime this R10 router is learning a route, learning an IP address like that. Let us do on R10 now. Let us do R10 basically. But I can't put them. No, no, I because again, listen basically is more adaptable for basically IBGP. Because if you see here the diagram, R5 is in AS1 and R3 is in AS2. So they are going to advertise. They're going to send R5 is going to say, hey, I am in AS1. R3 is going to say, hey, I am in AS2. So over here may be issue. But in IBGP, I can easily definitely do with dynamic group. Let us still do with maybe let's say right now, as I'm saying, R10 right now is only pairing with R5, only single connection. But maybe later on, maybe this connection is going up and down. For redundancy, maybe later on you are going to do pairing with maybe R7 also. Maybe R7 in future R10 might be pairing with also scalability from scalability point of view. But I did what command listen 172.16. No. So in this case, I don't know what will be the IP address because it is eBGP. So this thing is what. Let me over here. I remove this and so see it was telling peer group is not defined. I should have defined the peer group. I should say peer group XYZ. Okay. I say peer group XYZ. Remote as I know remote S is one. Oh sorry, I did not define the peer group. I say neighbor X, XYZ. I say this is a peer group I'm defining. Then I say neighbor XYZ remote S1. Suppose I apply neighbor XYZ. Maybe I want to send community R10 want to send community to R5 and maybe in future R7. So I'm just creating a group. Right now I have only one neighbor, but tomorrow there will be more neighbors in AS1, suppose like that something. And now I have defined the peer group. So one command to create the peer group, then multiple command to apply your policies, whatever is your policies, and then finally what I say, BGP listen range slash maybe 0, and then I say you become member of XYZ group. Now do I have neighbor? Do I already have neighbor? See R10 already has neighbor with R5 in AS1 because I defined this for AS1. This peer group XYZ is basically AS1. Okay, like that. And now suppose I remove that neighbor manually, whatever neighbor I manually defined. What is IP address of R5? 150.1.1.5 remote AS1. So neighborship is gone now. So see there is only one neighbor R3, but R3 belongs to a different AS. So I'm doing what? Neighbor peer group. But I deleted the neighbor. What about R5? So see if R5 knows. Let us do on R5 clear IP BGP star. See no, I don't not do also. Already again neighborship has come up. So if you see on R10 now, there is no neighbor command for R5, and but still see R5 neighbor has come up. See R5 neighbor has come up now because of this listen. Last time if you see it was showing only one neighbor, and now if I do show IP BGP neighbor somewhere this is selling totally. This is dynamically created based on a listen range command. Dynamically created neighbor 1, subnet range is 1, noted down the subnet IP address of that particular neighbor. Totally dynamically created neighbors. See, you can have up to 100 neighbors in a group. So you have some limitations also, how many neighbors can be there in one group also basically. If I specify wildcard mask, if I specify wildcard mask, this means what? I want to pair with any neighbor. But at the same time, what is the requirement? In the peer group, what is the peer group I defined? That the neighboring AS has to be one only. So even if I specify, see, I specified neighbor one. Letter is R1 also R10 also having neighbor with this. Let me remove this also. Let's see now this neighbor R3 becomes neighbor or not dynamically, because R3 belongs to a different AS. So I'm now deleted the neighbor, the other neighbor also static neighbor of R3, like how I deleted the static neighborship of R5. And now let's see, since I specified 0 0. So please you should understand, I'm here giving wildcard mask, but at the same time I gave a condition also, that okay, what any neighbor is going to send. So even R3 is going to send a message. Whenever R3 message is going to come, R R R10 will listen to that message. Okay, it will listen to that message, but then in that message, what will happen? See, notification. What will happen? It will say, sorry, you can't be you can't be my neighbor, because you are telling wrong AS number. You are telling your AS number is, so I'm expecting any neighbor from AS1. That is what I'm telling you. No, to use or not depends. This doesn't mean like now R10 will become neighbor with anybody. No, it will become neighbor with any neighbor, but only if the remote AS is of AS1. Plus, I can put a condition also. I can put a condition also. I can say, okay, I can have an authentication also. So if the other side is not configured for authentication, R10 will never form neighborship with anybody. So if I want to, ensure that R10 becomes neighbor with only, I don't want to specify whom it will become. It will dynamic. I want it to become dynamically neighbor with others, but I don't want to specify manually. So I do this listen group, but in the peer group, I define what a password. So if the password is coming and matching from the neighbor, then only you become neighbor. So that way I can control, or my R10 can become neighbor with whom? Not with anybody in the world. The other side also must have that same password, right? So with password, with remote AS, you can control with whom ultimately a router can remove. If there is no neighbor command, if there is no remote AS command, then it's a prerequisite for forming neighborship. So neighbor remote AS has to be there, either manually or remote dynamically. You need to define the remote AS. The router is not going to learn about the remote AS. Because very first day I said in BGP neighborship is what explicitly defined. Saying R10 is not becoming neighbor with R3. Now again I define, oh sorry, not this. So if you see for R3, I have not defined remote else. This remote S2 is not there in the group. It's not going to become neighbor. So once I define manually, yes. Okay, so this is one scalable feature for implementing large scale BGP environment. That. Can this be tested in your lab? Yes, this can be tested in your lab. Even if you have two neighbors also, they can ask you to do configuration. See the configuration on R10 what I did. R10 I say, hey, you belong to AS16. Then I am advertising couple of routes. I defined a peer group. I applied the common properties, whatever I want to apply. Then maybe one neighbor R3. I don't want him to become a neighbor of this peer group. So that's the reason. And remote is also different. For for maybe AS2, I can create another peer group. So you can, if you have two different AS, you're peering with multiple, multiple peering. Basically, it's like multi-homing, like that. Then in that case, I for AS1 I create one peer group. For AS2 I create another peer group, like that, and then apply my policy. Yes. Okay, so it's all up to me. Maybe for this peer group with AS1, maybe I don't want to do authentication, but with AS2, maybe I can do authentication. I can do authentication. AS2, maybe I can do authentication. If you see, I just here done what, only send community. I applied only a common feature, send community. One router cannot be part of multiple, one neighbor cannot be part of multiple peer group. How? As I said already, I said two parties. You can't belong to two parties. In India, you can't be member of Congress also and BGP also at the same time. If you're a member of Congress, then you cannot be member of BGP. If you're a member of BGP, you cannot be member of Congress. Of course, there are some politicians, you know, they say, okay, we belong to BGP, but they are member of Congress. And there will be some politicians who say, okay, only politicians, they keep on changing. Normal public, we always belong to one political party, right? Because politicians, we say ना उनका कोई धर्म ईमान नहीं होता है. The same way, our routers, they have some dharam iman, they have some ethics in the life. Politicians, they don't have any kind of ethics in the life. We all have seen so many politicians. Previously, they were in one party. After election, they joined some other party. Horse trading, that is called as horse trading. Routers are not like politicians. So that's the peer group. We'll take a short break now. It's time for a break. We'll just go have some water and come. So let's have a small break. Let me. So let's continue. Is the audio clear now? So peer group is done. Let us do some another feature now. Large scale peering. Again, so we are continuing with today what? Advanced BGP, large scale peering. So in large scale peering, I've shown you one important feature of what? Peer group. Now let's see another feature in large scale peering. So like same diagram I'm showing, a very large autonomous system. AS200 is a huge autonomous system, maybe hundreds of routers. So internal neighborship, maybe we have done maybe using peer group like R1, maybe peering with 100 neighbors. So maybe on R1 I have done peer group, maybe on R2 for R3, R4 somebody must have done peer group. R5 maybe somebody has done peer group. So it all depends. There can be every router there could be peer groups possibly like that, depending on the peering, BGP peering. Now the thing is what? If you see R100 in AS100, okay, R100 is sending what? Routes to R1. So this is eBGP routes. What R1 will do? The first thing on eBGP route, whenever a router receives eBGP route is what? You check the AS, you check the route, you check that update. In that update, that route AS path list and see whether it has your own AS number or not. If it is not there, then you can install the route in the BGP table and do BGP best path selection process. And if it is best, what R1 does? Will it forward the route to its eBGP neighbors? Yes. Will it forward to its iBGP neighbor? Yes. Will it forward all these two neighbors? Yes. Okay. And when this route, but what R1 does, it behaves differently. It has two different update policies. For eBGP neighbors, when it is sending the update, what it is sending by default, its own IP address as the next stop. But when it is sending the same route, same update to R2, R5, R7, it is sending by default what? R100's IP address, which will be what? Unknown to R2, and for them the route will not be best. And that's the reason we need to do here what? So anytime you have iBGP neighbors, for your iBGP neighbors, we have to do what? Next of self command, correct? So if I don't do next of self command, will the route be good for R2? Let us take example only one side, one branch. There are the multiple branch I am showing. Let us consider only one branch, one segment now, R2 side. So if I don't do on R1 next of self command, if I don't satisfy this iBGP rule, will the route be best for R2? No, it will not be best for R2 like that. Okay. So if it is not best for R2, will R2 share with its other neighbors? No, because if the route is not good for me, I cannot share with other neighbors. But my requirement is what? This AS100 routes must be received by everybody. All should receive this route. AS3 should receive, AS5 should receive, everybody should receive the route. So if I want that route to flow from one end to the other end, along the path, if you come across routers, because this is AS1 200 only, so this is all iBGP. So you have to satisfy all along the path what? iBGP rules. And actually there used to be a rule before, after I do next of self command. Let's say I do next of self command, then now the next stop is what? Known to R2. But there used to be a old rule which was there. Even after the next stop is reachable for R2, the R2 used previously in iBGP, whenever you receive any iBGP route, even if the next stop is reachable, they used to not install the route. It's not to consider the route as best, and that rule used to be called as what? Rule of synchronization. So now basically that rule is obsolete now. When the moment today you configure BGP, because previously also what people used to do is to disable the rule by doing what? The command no synchronization, no sync command people administrators used to do. But now it has become part of what? It is like default part of the iOS now. So anytime now you configure BGP, that no synchronization rule gets disabled automatically. Like now, how, like I said previously, no auto summary we had to do manually, but now today you in the new ISS and all, we don't need to do. So when Cisco knows that, okay, administrators always do this configuration, no synchronization, next this thing, what do you see, no auto summary. So now they program their iOS to do that job for us. So please understand, rule was there. Okay, so on R2 basically I had to do what? I will just write nothing, because we have to think not from today's point of view. Let us think in the beginning. Maybe 20 years back. 20 years back, you had to do, not even 20 years back. I think maybe 10 years back also people had to do nothing manually. I think 12.3 something, the iOS version 12.3 onwards, they made some the rules that, okay, now you don't need to do that, or 12.4 something. So depend what any, but anyway, consider, let's say 20 years back, surely this rule was manually had to be do. So rule has to be done. So now suppose I've done on R2 no synchronization command, and then on R1 have done next stop cell command. Now the route becomes what? Best for R2. Then will R2 forward this route to its eBGP neighbor? Yes. But now will R2 forward this route to its iBGP neighbor R3 and R4? No. Why? Because now R2 is what? Again following what? An outbound policy. It says I received this route from which neighbor? iBGP neighbor. iBGP route I can share with eBGP neighbor, but iBGP route I cannot share with other iBGP neighbors. That means what I need to do on R1, or sorry, on R2, I need to define R3 and R4 as what? Clients. And when we define on R2, R3 and R4 as client, ultimately we call R2 as what? RR. So if I don't do route reflection on R2, the route will never come to R3. And same way, let's say I've defined now route reflector client on R2. Now the route lands on 3 and 4. Then what happens again here also? Since it is iBGP, you have to do what? No sync. You have to do no sync for R3, because as I said, don't think from today's point of view, think 20 years back. So you administrators had to do no sync. So once they do no sync, now the route becomes best. Again, will R3 forward the route to eBGP neighbors? Yes. But will it forward to another iBGP neighbor? R10? No. Again, what I need to do now? I need to make this router R3 also what? Like a route reflector. So for R2, R3 is like client, and for R10, R3 is what? Route reflector. So one router can be route reflector for some other neighbors, and maybe the other neighbor might be route reflector for some other neighbors. So sometimes it is possible you are route reflector for somebody, at the same time you are a client also for somebody. These are all logical roles. So if you see now, once I do this route reflector, then the route ultimately lands on R10, and then again R10 I have to do what? No sync. And then R10 will forward the route to eBGP neighbor. So ultimately, if you see AS10 route finally reach the other end, AS5, when we had to do what? We have to take care of so many iBGP rules. If you don't do take care of this iBGP rules, what will happen? The route can never pass through your AS to the other end. And plus now if you see, when I make R2 as a route reflector, then only R3 and R4 get the route. Yes, they get the route. What if suppose this R2 fails? What if R2 fails? Like that, what will happen? The moment R2 router fails, R3 and R4 will lose the routes. All the routes in this branch will collapse, because they were getting the routes from R2, AS100 routes, and now R2 itself is dead. So this is like what? Single point of failure. So in a big large environment, you can't have single point of failure. Like over here, if you see, what I did? I did R3 and R4. I did peering with R10, R12, like that. I've done R10, R11, 12. I 3 neighbors. I made them peer with all these 3 neighbors. So if I make R3 route reflector for 10, 11, 12. So R10, R10, 11 and R12 they get the routes, right? If tomorrow R3 fails, then they will lose connectivity. So that's the reason what we do. We define. We say, okay, R4, you are also, you are also route reflector for this same clients. So when two routers are route reflector for the same client, they have the same bunch of route reflectors, then we call this as what? Cluster. We have formed as what? A cluster. Cluster basically means what? There could in one, see this is also cluster. Let me use another color. So when the moment you define a route reflector, the first route reflector you define the clients, then basically on that router if you see it is basically what? A cluster is auto dynamically created. And now the cluster has only one route reflector. If a cluster has one route reflector, it is a single point of failure. So what people do to ensure redundancy, to ensure that there is always route propagation, even if one router fails, you can't afford to have a failure. So you put what? One more router in the same cluster. And when you have like this, when you want two route reflectors to service the same client, they must be in the same cluster, so that these routers, I know now R10 will receive the route from R3 also, R10 will receive the route from R4 also, and you guys already know now a BGP router never does load balance, so either it will prefer the route of R3 or it will prefer the route of R4 based on its BGP best path selection process. But if R3 fails, then R4 routes will become best. If R4 is the main route reflect is best path, if R4 fails, then R3 routes. So at in given point you always have what? Redundancy. But now you see this is one cluster. This is like cluster one. This becomes like cluster two. Why? Because in this cluster, this router is a route reflector. R2 is a route reflector. Whereas here for R10, R3 and R5, so they are not basically one single cluster, multiple clusters. So in large, I'm just showing small branch in a large environment. There could be below this also cluster. There could be clusters here also. There could be clusters here also. And when if you have multiple clusters, then every cluster will require what? A unique ID, and that is called as what? Cluster ID. And how big is this cluster ID? The cluster ID is also 32-bit long. Means the cluster ID number can be any in the range of what? Up to 4 billion. And as I said, the cluster is like logical. It's a logical grouping. It automatically gets created. If I go now, let's see. If you remember, in my topology, this topology over here, I had done route reflection. I had made R1 as what? Route reflector. So if I go to R1 now, and if you'll see the configuration, so run pipe section BGP. If you see, I've done one. I've defined client. Moment you define one client, the router R1 is becoming what? A route reflector. Like that, right? Like that. If I go to R2 now, or if I go to R3, let us go to R3 now. And if I let me see if R3 is receiving some route from R1. Yes, R3 is receiving route from R1. Almost around 8 routes. Let us see which are those routes. Let us pick up a route from R1 which is best for 20. So this is a route which R3 is learning from R1. Next stop it is showing what? R2, because yes, when the router, when you solve that problem of split horizon, you forward the routes of one IBGP neighbor to another IBGP neighbor. You don't give your own IP address as next stop. Why? Because then again it will become what? Suboptimal. So now I have this route. So if I want to see the detailed of this route, I do what? So I can see that okay, I'm getting this route, and you see here what? See, cluster list has come, and the IP cluster is IP address is basically 172. It's not telling router, route reflector. It is telling cluster list basically. Now, what is this cluster list? So when, as I said, if you have multiple clusters, each cluster will have what? Some ID. Each cluster has what? Some ID. And when a route, hmm, when a route hmm, moves from one cluster, see, first the route comes to R2. So the route comes in cluster 1. Then R2 gives the route to R3 in cluster 1. Then R3, when we configure route reflector R3, then R3 is forwarding the route to its clients. So now the routes land where? On R10 and all this router suppose. So now the route, if you see a particular route has, let me use a blue color, the route comes here like this, then it moves from one cluster to another cluster. It can go from one cluster, second cluster, third cluster, like that. So it is traversing through multiple clusters. And when it travels through multiple clusters, then it lands on some router. Then this route, on this router, that particular route, we'll see that okay, yes, it traveled through these three clusters, and every cluster will have what? A unique ID. Unique ID. And if you don't, did I define the cluster ID? If you see in my configuration, I did not define on R1 any cluster ID, but automatically my, it is showing me that cluster. So basically, when you have multiple clusters, then this is also a design requirement that you name each cluster what, you assign a number to each cluster, so that it will become easy. So now let's say I assign this cluster. I say okay, this is cluster ID 10, this is cluster ID 20, this is, there could be another cluster ID 30, like that. I can say C3 is cluster ID 30 suppose. So when the route lands on some router here, on this router, when you see the check, it will show you what? Cluster list. So what is cluster list? Cluster list basically is what? The list of clusters through which a route has traveled. So cluster list is nothing but like list of clusters through which a route has traveled. And this cluster list, it sounds similar to what? AS path list. Cluster list is only in IBGP. AS path list is basically where? For eBGP. AS path is what? Where? For eBGP. What does AS path list does? It is used in what? Best path selection process. And now what is the purpose of this cluster list also? Same. Cluster list in IBGP is similar to AS path list in eBGP. Cluster list is also used in what? BGP best path selection process. And if you guys remember, I said, like some authors say only 10 parameters are compared. Some authors say no, maybe 20, 15 parameters are compared. Somebody will say 25 parameters are compared. Why? Because different optional configurations. If there is no route reflector configuration, then there is no cluster. There is no cluster ID. Then there is no cluster list. So if I do route reflection, then cluster appears, cluster ID appears, and ultimately cluster list appears. So that's the reason, as I said, there is after seventh parameter, after 7 parameters, the rest of after 7 8, like the parameters what, there are optional parameters. And that's the reason the list is what, for some author the list is small, the some author the list, because everybody is thinking in a different way. There are different ways to configure BGP optional. So cluster, these are all just understanding, because in your real exam this is not that much, because you don't have so many routers in BGP to do all this thing, multiple 3 4 clusters. E- at the most, maximum to maximum, maybe let's say in your real exam you can have maximum 2 clusters only, not more than that, because that your exam is not the whole day exam for only one topic BGP. You have so many things. IGP is there, BGP is there, IPv6 is there, multicasting is there, QoS is there, then you have other features, switching is there, then you have so many services. You have monitoring, syslog, SNMP, then NetFlow, then we have now you have your SD WAN also. So there are so many things Cisco is going to test you on that single day in in their 8 hours format. So very little will can be asked in the real exam. One or two maybe in BGP, maybe you'll get only two to three tasks to do in BGP, or maybe four tasks in BGP. BGP being important, and already there will be pre-configurations. You are not supposed to do BGP from scratch basically. Not like totally there is no BGP on a router and you start. BGP might be already pre-configured with some some missing commands, with some incomplete configuration. You need to complete the configuration automatically. Your task will get complete. So cluster release, cluster IDs. So as I said, I did not do, see, I did not do that cluster command here. So it is showing me this cluster, this IP address, because I just simple configuration I did. Shown you the configuration what I did on R1. What is that command on R1? Here. Where is it? Sorry, on R1. I just did this command. Did I do it? Do you see anywhere did I specified any cluster? No. So the cluster is like implied. Can I set what if I want? Can I set a cluster ID? Yes, you can set a cluster ID. So if I do router BGP2, I can say on R1 we are a cluster, so I can say BGP cluster, cluster ID, and then you can specify. See, it can be in IP dotted form also, or it can be in direct number. So it was showing by default dotted form, IP address format. Okay, let us put in, like, let's say it is cluster ID. Maybe I say, let's say 1010. Cluster ID 10. Okay, I have assigned this, and now maybe I can do a refresh. Clear IP BGP star soft out. Let's get some updates, and let us go to, now I defined R3 as a client. Let us see on R3 what it shows now. So this is the previous configuration, previous output. You see I specified 10, so it is showing me the cluster ID 10 over here as a IP address format. And since now there is only one cluster, it will show, we can see only one cluster. If there was maybe another cluster also behind, then over here I will see what two numbers appearing, and this cluster ID is get prepended as it gets in the AS path. AS path is get prepended. Every cluster, when the route moves to another cluster, it will put what its own cluster ID in front depending. So cluster ID, to understand cluster list, it's you just need to again recall your AS path list behavior. So AS number and cluster ID is like similar. Okay. So see now, so when in a large environment, if you want to do BGP, IBGP, so many effort is required. You need to take care of nosing, you have to take care of next stop cell, you have to define route reflector. Then route reflector is single point of failure. Maybe for every cluster you should have maybe minimum two route reflectors so that you get redundancy. Lot of effort is there. Finally, the route will move from one end to the other end. Finally the route will move from one. If I don't do, if I don't satisfy any IBGP rule, what will happen? There will be, the route will get stuck at that particular point somewhere along the path. Suppose I don't do next stop, I don't do maybe on R3, this router R3 here, I don't do maybe no sync. I'm talking about, let's say, 10 years back or maybe 20 years back. If you don't do no sync, whatever routes R2 is sending to its client R3, for R3 the routes are not good, because that rule of synchronization was enabled previously. Now automatically gets disabled. You can see, I can show you the configuration on R1. You see, no sync. I did not do this command. It automatically come. Anytime you configure BGP, this will automatically come. And now this auto summary also comes automatically. Cisco knows that people always do this command. They have to do. It's like compulsory. So when something is like mandatory, then you tell the iOS to do the job for the administrator. So this is called as like what iOS feature. So Cisco iOS provides you so many features, by which the job becomes easy. But just like day by day, Cisco is making their iOS what user friendly basically. It's like making a software what more user friendly. If I don't do suppose I don't do all these rules, I'm showing like this, I don't do. I say you're not supposed to do any rules like that, and I still want the route of AS100 to land on AS5. All this thing, whatever I have done now, suppose I don't want all this thing. Let me delete all this thing. Let's say I don't want. Let me make the screen blank again. And what is my requirement? This AS10 routes, I want these routes to land here. This is my requirement. AS5 should receive AS10 route, and whatever now we discuss, it is only from AS100 this point. Just imagine, what if I decide to go from bottom to top also, then the rules will get applicable like that. So lot of configuration previously, lot of configuration. If you have IBGP, large scale IBGP, thousands of routers in your AS, life used to be for the BGP administrator used to be a big challenge. Too much headache for a BGP administrator. Like that. So my requirement is still the same. I want AS100 routes to land in AS5. AS5 should receive all these routes from AS100 from end to end. But what I'm saying, you're not supposed to do, just do neighborship and the route should flow. Just we have to do only neighborship. Like I do neighborship R1 and R2. If R1 receives the route from AS100, it should give the routes to R2. If I make neighbor R2 with R3 and R4, R2 should give the routes to R3 and R4. If R3 and R4 receive the route, I make them neighbor with R10, R11, R12, they forward the route. I don't do anywhere, let's say I don't do anywhere next of self command, I don't do maybe no sync command. It's just neighborship command, just doing neighborship, the route should flow. What will we do? What should we do? If I do IBGP, they are all my routers, they are all belong to same AS200 only. So basically, they are all belonging to one AS only. That means it is IBGP requirement only. But if I do IBGP, then without solving the rules of IBGP, the route will never flow. And now, what I'm telling that okay, you have to configure this AS200 such that you just do only simple neighborship. Like if you are doing R1 and R2 neighborship, you say okay, remote is like that, and if it is loopback peering, you specify whatever the loopback IP, whatever is the loopback IP, since this is loopback IP, update source command has to be there, that you cannot avoid. But maybe I don't need to do anything, no need to do next stop self, no need to do no sync, no need to do route reflector. So if I don't do all this thing configuration, IBGP rules will never get complete. IBGP, this whatever the IBGP rules are getting applied, they will never get fulfilled, right? But that is the condition I'm saying. What will you do? So we have something called as what, very simple. In which form of BGP there are no rules? In which form of BGP there are rules? In IBGP we have rules, but what about eBGP? Do you have in eBGP next of self rule command? No. Do you have in BGP route reflector command rules? No. Do you have no sync rule for eBGP? No. All these rules basically are meant for IBGP. That's the reason IBGP has been given what, higher AD, and so that it should not be used like a normal IGP also. It's not recommended to be used as far as possible. Avoid IBGP. So much configuration. A very simple thing is what? I don't want all these rules. So what I can do? I can simply do what? eBGP. So if I do R1 and R2 eBGP, R2 and R3 and R4 eBGP, R3, R10 eBGP, what will happen? Automatically route from one eBGP neighbor will be given to another eBGP. See, so smooth transition, and finally the route will end. Just doing neighborship, eBGP neighborship, my job will get done. Routes will flow from one eBGP to another AS, eBGP neighbor, because there is no rule. Only that rule is that you check your own AS number. Yes. If there is no loop, the routes flow. Just doing neighborship. But now the challenge is what? This is one AS. You get this public AS from home. You cannot decide. You cannot take up any public do eBGP. You will require what? Multiple AS numbers. One organization cannot be given multiple AS numbers. I will not assign to make, just to make the configuration simple. INA is not going to say, somebody will say we want 500 AS numbers, somebody will say we want 1000 AS numbers. No, everybody will get only one public AS number. Then how do I do BGP? This is where we use what? The private AS configuration. We use the private AS numbers. Private AS numbers range is what? 64512 onwards to 65535. Actually 535 is reserved up to 534, but let's say 535. So this is the range. If you see, in this range you have almost 1000 plus numbers. So any organization in within their inside. So from the INA they will get what? Public AS number. But now internally they can use what? Private AS numbers. And when we do this private AS numbers, use internally private AS numbers and do the configuration and make the route flow from one end. What I have done basically, I create what? Maybe this I put one R1 I put in one private AS number. Maybe I say 64,000, maybe 600. Then maybe I have these three routers. I put them into what? 64,700. Maybe I put this into what? 64,800. Maybe this guys I put in 65,000. Maybe this guys I put 65,100. Like that I use different private AS numbers. So basically, if you see, my public AS number is what? 200. But internally, logically, I did what? Division, logical division of my one public AS into smaller private ASs. And when you have like this environment, this is called as what? BGP confederation. Remember, I said when time will come, I'll explain confederation. So this is known as what? BGP confederation. So what is BGP confederation? BGP confederation is like a scalable method of configuring very large BGP environment. It's again optional. What is the benefit of BGP confederation? Compared to normal IBGP, the route now will move more smoothly from one end to the other end. I don't need to do like that. Please understand, configuration is not basically total replacement of IBGP. There can be still IBGP rules. I'll explain that later, but just understand, it simplifies the configuration. Confederation will simplify the configuration. Okay, and the route flow is what? More smooth compared to IBGP, because I don't need to do many places IBGP, to take care of IBGP rules. It's not total 100% elimination of IBGP. If somebody wants, they can do, like if you have 1000 routers and if you have 1000 private AS numbers, then every single router you can put in what? A separate private AS number. Then that will be like total elimination of IBGP. But then that is also not recommended. That is also not scalable. So normally what we do, we create what? Logical groups of 3 routers, 4 routers, 2 routers. If you see here, I've done like that. Over here, R5, R15, I am putting maybe 4 routers here. Here I am putting 3 routers. Here maybe some place maybe only 1 router, 2 router. So smaller, I create what? Smaller ASs. and this is called as what? Sub AS, sub autonomous systems. So for the outside world, for the outside world, this organization is what? One single AS. But internally, you have what? Multiple sub ASs. This is like a switch. This is like a switch. The whole switch is like what? Single switch, single VLAN. By default VLAN 1. But then what we do? We create what? Multiple VLANs on a single switch, and then using this multiple VLANs, ultimately what we do? We logically divide the one single physical switch into, like, maybe if I create 4 VLANs, it's like as good as what? I created 4 logical switches in one physical switch. Subnets, subnetting. See, you take one network and logically create multiple networks, called as what? Subnet. So same thing, you take one AS and logically divide this one AS into what? Smaller subnets. But for the outside world, you are still what? AS200, AS1, AS2, AS3, AS4, AS100, all these AS. Maybe this is AS70, maybe. So all these things, they think they are pairing with whom? They think they are pairing with AS200 only. For the outside world, you are one single public AS. Internally, what we are doing? We are splitting. We are logically dividing our one public AS into smaller private AS. And when we do this, this is called as what? Confederation. BGP confederation is nothing but what? Logical division of one single public AS into multiple logical private ASs. This is called as what? Confederation. Same diagram. Let me now close this. See, same diagram what I was here, like AS1, AS2, like that, R10, AS, R1 pairing with AS100, eBGP. So I put R1 in, let's say 65,000, R2, R3, I put them into what? Logical group. So this is like I just put one router, normally not. If you see this, they are basically in three. These three guys in A6530. These four guys maybe in A6520. This one maybe 65-100, like that. So AS200, I divided into what? Just I'm showing small picture. In a reality, there could be maybe 50 private ASs, maybe 100 private ASs also if required. I'm just seeing one branch or one particular section of BGP. Clear? So this is confederation. And what happens now? You see. Let's see now. Suppose R AS100 sends the route to R1. So it is eBGP route. Will R1 share the route with AS1? Yes. eBGP route to eBGP will be given. Will the route will be shared with IBGP? Yes. Previously, eBGP route can be shared with IBGP. But what used to happen? R1 used to do what? Send the AS number of what? Send the IP address of R100. So I had to do basically for my neighbor in IBGP, I had to do what? Next of cell. But now if you see R1 and R2, this is like a logical eBGP now. So this is eBGP. That's the reason for R2 now. No, I don't need to do next of self command. So see, the route automatically comes to R2, and now R2 how it received this route? Through eBGP. So I don't need to do no sync. Will R2 forward the route to AS2? Yes, immediately. And since you received the route from eBGP, can you share with your neighbors? Yes, eBGP route can be shared with your eBGP. So see, I don't need to even define now route reflector on R2. for forwarding R1's route to R3 and R4. Previously, if you remember, on R2 I had to do route reflector. And then over here also, will they forward the routes to their neighbors? Yes. I don't need to define them R3 and R4 as route reflectors. And if there is no route reflector, that means there is no cluster. There is no cluster ID. There is no cluster list. You see now how the route is flowing. Suppose here AS5 is there. From R10, the route lands on AS5 smoothly. Did I do anywhere IBGP rule configurations? Did I do next of self on R1? Not needed. Did I do no sync on R2? Not needed. Did I do route reflector, define route R2 as route reflector? No. Did I do define R3 no sync? No. Did I define smoothly? No. Yes, wait now. Now see, as I said, configuration does not mean that total 100% elimination of IBGP rules. Between 2 and 3 now, what is it? If you see, it is IBGP because they belong to the same private AS 6510, right? Like that. So if they belong to the same AS, that means for R3 it is IBGP. That means you still need to do here what? No sync. Because the moment IBGP will come, its rules will also come. So wherever IBGP is appearing, its rules will appear. If you see here, R5 forwards the route to R15 as what? IBGP route. Will R15 forward the route to R16? No. By default, never. When I configure R15 RR, then only, so wherever applicable, route IBGP rules will get applied. Whatever R16 will learn, will it forward the routes to this guy R17? Will it forward the route to R17? No, it will not forward the route to R17 unless and until maybe I define R16. So please understand how you design your private ASS, how you design your service. It depends on that. If you put, just think, if you put only two routers in each private AS, only two routers, then you don't require a route reflector. But still you will require maybe no sync because it is IBGP 20 years back, not today. So now no sync today is not a challenge. So things are becoming easy. So one thing you should understand, our confederation is not 100% elimination of IBGP. We are trying to minimize it so that less effort will be required to make a route flow from one end to the other end. Large, this could be large ISP. Large ISP can be made can be made up of what? Smaller ISPs, like that, smaller local ISPs, like that. One big ISP, they take internet from some other organization, and then they sell this internet to smaller ISPs in every local area, and then they will call everything local area ISP. They become call them as what? One private AS sub AS. Now we know that when a route, see now, when R1 and AS100 route lands on R1, right? R1 will forward to here R2, R2 will forward to 3, R3 will forward to R10. Yes, like that. It will forward, the route will get forwarded to everybody, like that. Same way the reverse also you have to think now. From when the routes come from AS5 to R10, will R10 forward the route to R3? Yes, it comes here. Will R3 forward the route to R2? Yes, it will forward. R2 will give here. Will R2 will forward here? When you see the reverse also, not much IBGP needs to be done. Yes, on R2 I think is R2 I need to do now no sync. Why? Because now the route is coming from IBGP. So you have to think how you have to think about these rules in a particular direction, like that. So nosing is like everybody used to do always. That's the reason now the iOS is taking care of that nosing. Of course, it is used in real environment. For the whole outside world, what I said, for the whole outside world, your what? AS200 only. So whenever, you know, routes go outside the the confederation, whenever the route will go outside the confederation, they will get what? Only AS200. R AS5, if they are receiving the routes from R10, when R10 will forward the route to its real EBGP. This is real EBGP outside, because this is something different, right? So only it will send only this private AS numbers. Private AS like this private IP. Private IP not allowed on the internet. So same way private AS also not allowed on the internet. For IP, for private IP, if you have private IP and if you want the packet to go on the internet, what we do? Netting, right? So private IP we net into what? Public IP. Same way, this configuration is like what? Netting of private AS into public AS. So when the route is going outside, it will become public AS only. Nobody will come to know what internal you have done. Nobody will come to know that you have done configuration. So this configuration is whatever configuration, this is local to that AS. Unless until the administrator tells everybody, see, we are doing configuration. So it's like a local secret of one organization. Same way, when the route will go here, it will be only everywhere. Anytime you are sending the route to another public case, that means it is this is real EBGP. These are all real EBGPs. Whenever you are sending the routes to your real EBGP outside world, the routes when they will exit from your AS, they will carry only what? So from this end to this end, it is as good as what? Only AS200 for R5 and AS100. Okay. So we continue tomorrow. So I'll explain the configurations tomorrow, how the configuration needs to be done for configuration. So this command, whatever is there, I'll explain tomorrow how it is to be done. What is the meaning of this command? What happens when you do this command? What happens when you don't do this command? So just knowing the command is not going to be useful. We need to know, if I do this command, what happens? If I don't do this command, what happens? If you guys remember, when redistribution I explained you in OSP, I explained you. If you put subnet, I said you should know what happens. If you don't put subnet, you should know what happens. If you put metric, what happens? If you don't put metric, what happens? So just knowing the command, memorizing the command is not going to take you anywhere. So every command you should know. I mean, like aggregation command, if you don't put summary only command, what happens? If you don't put ASZ, what happens? So I always explain what happens when you don't do and what happens when you do. Because real exam, it's not like you have to always do the options. It all depends on the scenario. So you have to read that scenario, and from reading the scenario, you should understand. The lab practice when the topologies which I'll give you for practice later on. As I said, first right now, whatever I show you, this topology only you should practice. That's the reason I shared the net file with you. So right now, only use this topology. When I'll give the lab practice, the practice lab later on, for testing your skills, whether you guys have understood, or it will be your own self testing. So naturally the topology might not be same, because it should appear to you like as if you are going for a real exam. Maybe you don't know real exam what will be the topology, and you have come and you have to think and you have to solve that. So it will be like a test, like that. So as far as explanation is concerned of all the whole BGP technology, I will use one topology only. I don't keep on changing topology. See, for IGP and others, I use one topology. For BGP, this is from day one, I'm using this one single topology, because it doesn't make sense to use 10 different topologies to teach 10 different things. Waste of time and more confusion. Which topology to be used where? One single topology. I see. I've already explained aggregation. I've already explained some this thing, what you say, path manipulations, all the attributes we have seen. Backdoor I've explained. So single topology should be used. Okay, guys. See you all tomorrow, same time. Hope you enjoyed the session.